Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. Now, for today, I mean, what can I say? She's back after almost 3 years now. The incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the one and only, the legendary Janice. Janice, how are you?
Ah, I'm doing good. How about you, Dan?
Doing fantastic. I mean, what better way, right, to be speaking again with someone as badass as you, but also since you were kind of like on the realm of the first episodes that I was doing back then. So it's pretty cool to have you back here.
Yeah, and I'm super excited. This new format's pretty cool. We're not live on Instagram, which is also kind of nice. I love being in my booth and in my happy place. So it's nice to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more comfortable. I was also gonna
Yeah.
tell you that back then I was getting like super nervous. Like every now and then, like, for example, it happened, like a few times here and there, that suddenly 100, 200, 300 people out of nowhere would tune in, and I would be starting like sweating, like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
good to be on Zoom. It's more relaxed, calm. So yeah, I get it.
Exactly. We don't know who's gonna watch it until after, and even then, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps a lot. But also on the description below, you're gonna find all of Danny's social media. Let's follow her. If you don't know why she's super badass, you are gonna discover it also in this conversation, right? And yeah. So without further more, let's jump in. So, I mean, we already know, as I was saying, we already know how badass you are since our first interview 2 years ago. So for today, it's a whole different, yeah, kind of different topic, which is how you see the whole acting entertainment industry in the next 10 years, right? Now, I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question. But also, I just remember that before we start, this is basically our points of view. We know our, I mean, this is how we see things in our perspective. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, we're no
Yeah.
pros, things like that. I mean, just to be clear. And
Yeah. Definitely through our experience in the
exactly,
industry, for sure. Yeah.
exactly. If you like it, great. If you don't, well, too bad. But anyway, right. So the first question, right? So the first
Yes.
question would be, with the rise of streaming platforms and on-demand content, how do you foresee the future of traditional cinema over the next 10 years? Hit it.
Okay, this is such it's such a good question because I mean, over the past 4 years since the pandemic happened, I've been finding myself renting more movies off of YouTube or waiting for things to rent off of Amazon Prime or stream at home as opposed to going to a theater. Now I will say though, if I find something in like on film, like we saw Dune 2 at the Music Box, I'm gonna go to the Music Box because the Music Box is one of the only theaters now in one of only a handful of theaters in the country still showing films on actual film. So like stuff like that, absolutely support. But the big like Regal, like AMC, I don't need to like name drop theater names, but the big ones out there, it's like I just don't find myself personally going to them, nor my friends going to them, unless it's a big thing like you kind of need to watch in a theater, like Furiosa, we just saw in theaters, or if there's something like an experience like 40X, Inside Out 2, looks like a really cool experience I would go see in theaters. I see a lot of, I just see a lot of movies going straight to streaming really fast, and I don't feel like people attend the cinema as much anymore unless it's something special like that. So I see that's the biggest trend that I see right now. And I don't know exactly what that does for us, like as actors or in this industry, or how that affects production in any way. I'm really not sure. Uh, but I just know that it's been a real struggle coming out of the pandemic of where we are. Like we're kind of still figuring out this new era of, are we doing big blockbuster films still? I mean, are we all tired of all of those? Are we now focusing on like indie films, which seem to be capturing audiences more? Like, I don't know. It's just it's so unpredictable, but it's been interesting seeing that trend and watching myself be a part of that trend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's it's been, yeah, it's like when you think about it, like how much thing has happened like over the past few years, right? I mean, as you were mentioning, the fact with the whole COVID, and then AI just came, and then with the whole strike going on. I mean, if you think about it over the past couple of years, there has been like a lot of changes in the whole entertainment industry, which is great. Changes are good, But also it is interesting that, for example, with friends, family, sometimes I would prefer to watch films at home. Kind of as you were mentioning. I mean, maybe for a specific film like Furiosa, or for example with Oppenheimer, I remember a lot of people loved it because of the whole IMAX experience. So I get it that perhaps for the experience, cinemas will stay, but only for specific films. Not for all of them. Because sometimes you will say, doesn't look like too much of an experience. I might just wait for Amazon or HBO, Netflix, so on, so on. So.
Hmm.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Now, how do you think advancements in technology like deepfake AI and virtual reality will influence the acting profession?
I have such a hard time with this because I'm also a voice actor. And I mean, AI just like I know it's going to be an integral part of how we move forward in the future, and it's going to help us be more efficient. It's going to help uh, release more art quicker by being able to, like, for instance, the advances in Photoshop recently with AI, where you could just literally type in to Adobe and say, "Hey, I would like you to remove all the people from this photo," and bam, it's done in 2 seconds. When someone went to college with 4 courses to learn that over many years, and it's like that stuff is great. However, I just, in terms of acting, it's like it all goes back to the human experience. Emotions are a human experience, and I don't think that AI acting is going to be any part of the future. However, I do see and I do support motion capture because you're still using a human and using their experience, their emotions, their facial expressions to project onto these video game characters, or like I was just watching how Gollum was created and how that was filmed in Lord of the Rings. And I'm just like, yeah, that's why we all love Gollum a little bit, because it was such a human experience, because it was the actual human actor capturing all of that emotion and depth into those tiny cameras that were hanging off of his head. Uh, but yeah, I fear a bit that it's going to be leaned on. Like, I can't remember which Star Wars film it was, but Carrie Fisher had just passed,
Hmm.
and she was in that with another actor who had passed, and it was just really uncanny.
Hmm.
And it was like I left that theater not knowing how I felt about that they used their images even though they passed. And I just, yeah, I can't support it. I can't.
Oh yeah, I get it. I mean, I think it has happened a few times. I think also with what was it? The Fast and the Furious 9, or was it the eighth one? Anyway, like right after like Paul Walker died, and
Mhm.
they used his brother also with a little bit of technology here and there to kind of put his face again. I mean, I do agree with you. I mean, I do think that whenever, yeah, like those type of thing happen that the actor passed, like why would you, like that it's not gonna be real. You know what I mean? Like when you see him,
Yeah.
it's not the same thing. I mean, it's not going to impact you the same way as a real one, as a real human, let's say, right? So I would appreciate perhaps if they could be able to kind of avoid that. I mean, perhaps it would be interesting, if we would see, for example, a film in which, I don't know, if we could get the chance like to see an incredible actor who passed away, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago. That would be interesting. But still, I mean, it's not gonna be like the same thing. Perhaps like that thing would work once, but also we need the human side. I mean, we as humans, we want, I mean, we like to relate, we appreciate the stories, we appreciate the art of it. And to have that changed by an AI. I remember once someone told me that AI should be working with us and not for us. And I do think that
Exactly.
that is like the main problem that is happening now, that people are using it to work for them, and that has caused, well, the situation that we're having right now, that even like on YouTube or on Instagram, if you are posting something, they will be asking you like, is this like an AI stuff or is this real, does like, and that blows my mind because back then we would be seeing like AI only in films, TV shows, and now it's even in the palm of our phones. You can create scripts in a second, right? You can create a lot of stuff with ChatGPT, for example, and with this AI image creators, you can create whatever you want, by just putting the words to it. So I do think that perhaps the problem is that we that at some point we might get used to it, and we will like stop to like to work on our human side somehow. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Oh,
sorry, these are motion censored.
that's okay. So yeah,
Yeah, and is it ethical? Like I don't know if like what if that Fast and the Furious bit that was not really Paul Walker, that was deep faked, was used in a commercial that they didn't that their values weren't matched with. It's so tricky because I feel like there's so much room to take advantage of people and put them in situations that don't align with their morals or their ethics. And it's really difficult to navigate. I mean, especially with all the in perpetuity stuff that you're seeing on Actors Access or casting networks or within, these small commercial contracts. It's like, why in perpetuity? If you want to put it on your website, just say on my website forever and ever for my archive. Great. But you don't get to own my likeness or put my performance into an AI generator to replicate that for yourself. I'm not ever signing off on that. That's the danger that I see with just the whole industry right now is there's so much gray and there's not enough black and white to really be able to tell what are my liberties, what are my rights to my own likeness, and what am I signing away if I sign an in perpetuity? What exactly does that mean in the stage of AI? Does that include AI? And does that include deep fakes? What does that include? And all of these terms of services, it's like we all don't read it, and we all saw that Black Mirror episode, yet we still don't read the terms of service. It's like, it's a bit scary. So I've been trying to do my research and do a bit more digging around that, just so I know how to protect myself and how I can help spread the word and protect my friends. I know in the voiceover industry, NAVA is a great organization that is trying to get some legislation passed for voice actors in terms of AI and all of that. So I mean, there's people out there fighting against it already.
yeah.
But it's just such a weird, scary time.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the fact that, it's not, that right now the whole AI, yeah, is kind of focusing a little bit on the whole entertainment industry, but it's gonna happen. It's kind of happening that it's kind of expanding to take more and more jobs from people. The other day I was also having this conversation that who knows that, that it does happen that even till this day, there are some companies that when you call customer service, it's an AI working with you. You know what I mean? There's no human side to it. It's all AI, and it's a shame that they will be using that, and at the end of the day, people lose jobs, and it's kind of a difficult time right now. Once we thinking about it, and it's a shame. It's a shame that perhaps we're not giving it the proper use on how we should do be, on how we should be doing things. As you were
Mhm.
mentioning with the whole actor. It would. It's true. They will be using someone likeness for whatever project, and perhaps if that actor would be alive, would say no, I don't support that. This is not my thing. And who knows that at some point we will be seeing actors in political commercials, for example, right? Or in something totally different. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit complicated now that I'm thinking about how the whole used to it, and the terms, and the whole, yeah, like the whole thing. It's kind of a worry somehow,
Yeah. And I just don't really know where to find the answers that I'm looking for, whether they're good or bad or whatever. But as long as I have just a knowledge of what is going on with it, like I'm still doing my research. I'm still listening to, any articles or any podcasts that come out with information. It's ever changing, you know? And I mean, with the Supreme Court just changing a few, um, overturning some pretty famous cases, it's like, who knows? Who knows?
You know, it's as I said, it's crazy. It's yeah, like I don't know when would be enough. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
when are we gonna say, you know what, enough is enough. You know what, stop. I don't know where this is might gonna, and it's a shame also because perhaps like some people would be saying like, oh, this whole AI thing is only affecting, you know, like the whole entertainment industry. That's fine, but no, it's actually it's actually, as I was saying, it's reaching to more and more stuff, and it's yeah, it's scary. Like really, when you use AI and you want to, like the other day, I was, you know, just in the wormhole of ChatGPT, and I was like, let's see what the fuss is about, and I just randomly said like, create a script for a horror film. In seconds, I already have a script going on, and I was like, you know, like what
How
usually would
good
take
was it?
I mean, I was reading it. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, this is not,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Like, we
Yeah.
want the human side. I mean, perhaps, sure, perhaps that will work once or twice. But at the end of the day, we want to relate as the story as possible. I mean, we want to know who wrote the story. And if we find out that it was an AI, it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna hit as you know that it was based on that actual human wrote it by the, you know, like piece by piece to it. And like the whole thing, I mean, you just kind of lose that that emotion of achievement. You know what I mean? Like when you actually got something, you're like, yes, I got it. And now with AI, basically has everything for you. I mean, I do hope that these generations will start to kind of as work properly or work as any human being and stop using this whole AI stuff because yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And ChatGPT, it just, takes whatever was fed into it and it's not original, you know? Being inspired by something that really scared you and writing about that is gonna give you more of a connection to your audience than ChatGPT ever will, because someone out there probably had the same experience. Multiple people out there probably had the same experience that prompted you to write the script, you know? I just, yeah,
Yeah.
AI, awful.
I mean, as I was
Could be
saying,
good for some things, but awful in terms of art.
yeah, as and is if it works with you,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, I was having also this conversation that what if AI at some point will help the whole, yeah, like will help doctors to get, you know, to get on a specific, I don't know, answer for a symptom or things like that. Then yeah, sure, that's good. You know, if they can manage to work with them, like alongside with you, or with entertainment, they manage to kind of use AI to help you create something or to put something on it so you can have like the idea to be like, you know what, perhaps we could put this, we can create that, then it's with you. But for you, I mean, we will, you know, it's yeah, I mean, I don't want to live in this in a future in which I can be sitting, you know, in my couch all day and AI will do everything for me. You know, like the whole Wall-E movie, remember?
Oh,
That
yeah.
you know that the humans were just sitting all fat in a couch not doing anything and just like, you know, and like the whole AI robots, everything, we're doing everything for them. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, now with many actors transitioning to roles behind the camera as directors or producers, do you see this trend intensifying in the future?
Yes. I mean, with the industry currently, and I can only speak to my experience, right? Or the trends that I see within my community. A lot of us are starting to create our own work right now. A lot of us are moving into a director role or getting into groups to write and produce, and not even just for footage for our reels, but like stuff that, actually means something to us, and writing shorts and whatnot based off our experiences. I see this trend continuing to increase, especially with the availability of technology, right? Like our phones can film an incredible short story, uh, or a short, and uh, you could, like, anyone could buy a mic and pad up their closet and have really good sound to start a podcast or to create an animation pilot, off of their iPad. It's a technology has really made creating your own work accessible. And I don't see that trend going away.
Yeah.
And I do see it increasing even more. People finding other ways to um, uh, use as a creative outlet and keep their creativity flow and keep growing outside of acting.
Plus, I think it also helps you with your kind of resume, let's say, the fact that you're not only like an actor, you know how to produce, to direct, basically everything, which I do think that's the way that things should be. And also, a lot of actors have told me that if you can get the chance to learn something new, don't stick only in acting. Like, find more stuff to do. Write your own stuff, direct your own stuff. And as you were mentioning, with technology now, we can get the proper tools to make that happen. So
Yeah, definitely. And it just expands your network, right? You direct someone else's film or you direct or you're a guest on someone else's podcast and someone's like, "Hey, I really like your vibe. I like how you work. I saw your website off of that." And it just expands your network, right? And you find a lot of really cool people to work with.
totally, which is great by me. So keep doing
Yes.
that. And do you anticipate a shift in the type of stories and narratives that will be popular or prioritized in the next decade?
Yeah, I think a lot. I think we're going to start to see a lot of environmental stories and a lot of stories focused on privacy. Um, I also think we're going to start to get the newer generation voice uh, integrated into film and cinema. I feel like there's a lot of great amazing things that the younger generations are fighting for and value that is just going to heavily influence cinema and all kinds of media. Uh, yeah, and a lot of that is based off of just, what's going on in the world today, what's, not to be all doom and gloom, but of the things we're witnessing as a result of our neglect, yeah, I feel like those things are really going to be pushed.
I mean, the only thing that I'm hoping is no more remakes.
Yeah. Oh my God. I cannot sit through another Spider-Man. I love Batman, but I can't sit through another Batman. I don't need to
Mhm.
see another Harley Quinn. Bless Lady Gaga's heart. Of course, I'm going to go see her, but another Harley Quinn. Like, ah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
many remakes. I want to see new content. I want to see stuff that is speaking to the human experience. I want to hear from the younger generation and their experience of growing up, with all of this technology. Like bringing it back. I mean, I grew up when we had uh, a cassette tape player. I remember that just came out, and then the CDs and like Walkmans just came out, and then it just kind of, then the iPod came out, and like now we have everything on our phone. It's like, but this generation grew up with all of that already on their phone. So I want to hear from that generation.
Hmm.
I want to hear those experiences and those stories. And yeah, I think we're in for some just a refresh, I guess.
Right? I mean,
Hopefully.
there are so many stories you can get the chance to create. Why not give the budget to something new instead of a remake on, I don't know, on so many things now. I mean, yeah, like a new Batman, new Harley Quinn, new Superman. Um, I mean, we're gonna have at some point a TV show from the whole Harry Potter films, but now on a TV show with
Oh
new
yeah.
actors, new everything. And when I was watching that, I was like, why? Like the films are perfect. Just if you want the new generation to know about, just present them like the old films, because they are good. So I instead of yeah, my point here is that instead of spending uh a lot of money in a remake from a, I don't know, a Superman film, let's say, why not use that budget to finance multiple new stories? I mean, I do think that new stories are everywhere and you can get the chance to create something new and so many topics right now. And I do think also that with films we can also get the chance to talk about a specific topic. We can get the chance to know a little bit about a certain story or Yeah, like a little bit of it, no, right? So why not use that, present us new content? I mean, I love whenever there's like a new film going on, I'm like, yes, this is exactly the type of stuff that I want. But when I see like a remake on, I don't know which film, I'm like, come on, no, just don't. Because I ended up seeing it and I'm like, why did I, like, why did I see that?
Yeah.
Anyway. Now, how do you think the role of film festivals will evolve, given the increasing accessibility of digital platforms for showcasing new talent?
Hmm. So I think that indie films and films that come out of film festivals are going to be more accessible, which is great. So a lot more people are going to be able to see that work, and hopefully, project them into a higher budget, to a higher production company to do more uh, interesting work. I know Sundance is looking for a new city. Um, yeah, I don't think it'll change too much per se.
Mm,
Yeah, what
yeah.
are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I do hope we can get the chance to stream those film festivals. For example, on my case, there are not so many film festivals going on here, and when you know about something, I mean, it's kind of a very it's difficult. So if you can get the chance to see a film festival on a streaming platform, I would say, okay, yeah, I like it. Or, for example, on airplanes, if you can get the chance to put indie films, you know what I mean? Like indie stuff. Put it in a 2, 3 hour flight. You can put several of them, and actually people will enjoy them. I mean, as I was saying here, like why not focusing on these new stories and also give the opportunity to new talent, to come up to kind of raise their hand and be like, you know what, I can do that thing too, and not only focusing on one thing also, which I do think
Yeah.
that at the same time that it's kind of a little bit expanding. I mean, back when I was a kid, the only stuff that you will see in cinema would be the Hollywood stuff. That's it. And of course, every now and then, every Mexican film. But it's great that now we can get the chance to see a little bit of, for example, European films. And then you're like, okay, Asian stuff. You're like, interesting. But but yeah, I do hope that we can get the chance to kind of see it more, and also with film festivals that perhaps more people could get involved. So at the same time helps to more people discover these new artists, these new films, things like that. So
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great idea too for airlines showing indie films and, more lower budget films and working with festivals specifically to, you know, share the wealth. I mean, that would be a fantastic idea because you see all like the streaming movies that you typically see on an airplane,
mm,
and it's like, yeah, I didn't see that. I guess I could watch that, sure, but I don't know. It would be interesting to have just a bit more variety in there.
hmm
That's a really interesting concept.
yeah, it would be interesting. Let's say you go on a 3 hour flight and then you discover that there's a bunch of indie stuff. And then you'll be like short films here and there. You'll be like, you're gonna watch, I don't know, four or five films and be like, you know what? Maybe all of them were good or a little bit, at at the end of the day, you're kind of giving the chance to new people to discover uh this new these new films, these new artists. I mean, yeah, I would like that if they can kind of expand that like a little bit more
Yeah,
because,
exactly. And like it could even inspire another trip. Like, oh, I really liked all these films in Toronto. It looks like such a cool city. I want to go visit. So there you go. You hand in hand. I don't know if any airline will ever listen to this, but there you go. There's a
yeah,
$1 million idea right there for free.
yeah,
Don't need ChatGPT for that.
yeah, exactly. Just call us,
Exactly.
problem
I mean, it
solved.
could always help us out, starving artists and whatnot, but
I mean, I wouldn't complain. I mean, I wouldn't complain if they can share like a little bit of it. I wouldn't say no. I would say sure, I'll take it.
a little sponsorship here and there never hurts.
You know,
So,
it
you
would
know.
be it would be nice to say this episode was brought by, I don't know, American Airlines or Lufthansa or who knows.
Ooh, Lufthansa. Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
just saying. But yeah, I mean, I do hope that happens. That would be cool, interesting, and new. Something new. Because to be honest, with streaming platforms, I ended up watching old stuff. Like right now, I'm rewatching The Office and Breaking Bad because there's nothing new in which I'm like, you know what I mean? So give a
Hmm.
chance to it. I mean, I do know that there's platforms, for example, Tubi, that they show like indie
Oh
stuff here
yeah.
and there.
Yeah,
But
Tubi does that.
hmm but I would, but why not show more? I mean, I sometimes get like a little bit annoyed that, for example, someone that I interview does a film and I can't watch it because it's not available in my country, for example. So I need to
Hmm.
do like a lot of stuff here and there to kind of find it. Or sometimes they will send me the link to be like, you know what, this is like a free test. Watch it. Let me know what you think, which is good. But yeah, just expand a little bit more, make it more interesting, make it fun. And as you were saying, I mean, that could help also new people to discover new cities in your country, so it helps tourism. So you're saying.
Exactly. I love the films and TV shows that come out of Korea. I mean, fantastic. Especially the horror thriller genre, just nailed it. They nail it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They really create some very sketchy, amazing, terrifying stuff for sure.
Just such unique stories too, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
Parasite, Train to Busan, Old Boy, just some of my favorites off top of mind. Just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully we see that happening. That would be great. And we can get like the chance to, I mean, I wouldn't mind if for example, I don't know, HBO would say we're gonna charge you a little bit, like a little bit here, but you have a huge catalog of indie stuff. That would say, sure, you know.
Hmm.
So we'll see. But anyway, now with mental health becoming a prominent discussion, do you see the industry adopting practices or policies to support actors and crews' well-being more effectively?
I struggle with this because yes and no. You know, the showbiz saying the show must always go on. The show must go on. But I do feel that people have changed over the past 5 to 10 years. I mean, you could just tell people are checking in with each other, especially if like for instance, I was in a scene study class and I had this very vulnerable scene that I was doing, uh, where, you know, she orgasms on screen. And my teacher, you know, checked in with me and said, are are you doing good? And had the whole class do it together. So like I didn't feel alone. Like there's definitely, and that made me feel safe to create, you know, and to be free to really um commit to this scene. And I feel like a lot of not only sets with cast and crew, but classes as well, and institutions are um really involved in checking in. And yeah, yeah, they're just very involved in and very aware of mental health and the toll it can have. I mean, we've seen plenty of brilliant actors in the past, you know, 5 to 10 years unfortunately pass because of mental health, you know. Crew members for safety. I mean, just physical safety, you know, stunt people, physical safety. I feel like there's definitely a heightened awareness around it for sure. But will it stop the production from going on? I don't think so. You know, it's
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like it is it is costly to produce. And if you're not on set mentally prepared and ready to do your job, it can still be seen as unprofessionals. And it's such a tricky thing, you know, because we have our rights to step away from things that make us feel like we're in danger, either mentally or physically. So
Mhm.
I hope that makes sense.
Mhm. No, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just don't know what to say, but but I'm totally, but a couple of like a year ago, yeah, like a year ago, I interview an intimacy coordinator, right? And back then I didn't even know that those, that existed somehow. But she was
Yeah.
explaining me about like the whole, like about like her whole process to it, and like the whole key about getting an intimacy coordinator for specific scenes. And I find that great because now it gives the chance for someone to say, you know what, I'm not comfortable. You know what,
Yeah.
or if you're gonna have like in a specific scene, let you can get the chance to kind of talk it out and be like, you know what, this is how we're gonna do it. Or we agree with each other. Great, let's go, right? And I do think it's kind of good that we are kind of having those changes right now because as you mentioned, it is interesting that sometimes we see people caring more somehow, you know, in some ways. But
Yeah, like the low budget stuff, probably not going to have an intimacy coordinator,
yeah, of course not.
but are you willing to accept a job without an intimacy coordinator? Honestly, these days, no, I'm not comfortable. And I want to make sure I'm feeling comfortable and safe in the environment that I'm working in, and that the people I'm working with also feel comfortable in hyper vulnerable situations like that, you
Totally.
know?
And also with sons as well, that you can get the chance to set them up properly or to make sure you're not kind of risking somebody else's life due to getting a specific scene on, on anything. So
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about the rise of short form content, like what we see on TikTok, YouTube, sometimes Instagram too? Will you think that will this influence the type of content produced or the length of films and TV shows?
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, TikTok is a very specific platform with short stories, and you definitely see some casting calls out there to pretty much make TikTok stories and make, series. There's a lot of UGC, user-generated content auditions going out right now for like commercials and whatnot. So that's been a huge flux in terms of um, the industry as well, the influencer culture. Um, and just that style is very hot right now. Um, but no, I don't think it's going to affect the length of films or television. They're so different, and they require the length they do and that they're currently at right now because it's such a different medium. TV, it was very interesting. I was at VO Atlanta this year, and I was in a session with a bunch of people, like a separate class, and the person talking said animated uh, episodes are actually 11 minutes long. They're so short. They are so short and so formulated, which is why everything is so high energy and it goes from this and that. And you don't have time to change emotion. You just got to do it on a dime, you know? Um, but that's animation, and that's the formula for that, for kids animation at least, and some cartoons. But, you know, for TV shows, like if you're watching The Boys, like that's going to be an hour, you know, it's just a very different medium, a very different formula. And uh, I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah, I don't mean either. I do think that there's space for everyone. Those who appreciate short form content and those who want long form content. I mean, for example, we saw this year, I mean, Oppenheimer won, yeah, well, they won Best Picture and it's a 3 hour film, something like that.
Hmm.
So, you know what I mean? So people still appreciate that. And as you mentioned, I mean, there's a specific, perhaps like the length would be focused depending on the people they are going to. So yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I mean, I do. Yeah, it would be great. Don't get me wrong, but it would be great if they can make the videos instead of 90 seconds. If we can get the chance to make them a minute, like a couple of seconds more. For example, because I've been editing now to create some reels, and I get
Mhm.
frustrated because sometimes like the answer they're giving it's epic and I'm loving it, but it's because it passes like 10 seconds more, I need to cut that and it doesn't create like the same impact, and I'm like, come on, just 5 seconds. Why are you doing this to me? You know what I mean? So it would be great if they can put it like a little bit longer to it, just saying. So
Yeah. And you're talking specifically to Instagram Reels?
mm-hmm.
I love making Instagram reels. They're so much fun. But I do agree, like if you have a longer form content that you want to do, you kind of have to like make a post almost. Like make it a post, but I think the posts are only a minute long. I don't know how it works in
Hmm.
terms of longer form content anymore, but
I mean, make it at least 2 minutes. That would be great. So then I can get the chance to, put the answers, like put real good answers and not having to put some words here and there to kind of make, like, you know what I mean? I mean, at least to me, it's kind of a little bit annoying that sometimes, as I was saying, that I'm working on a reel and then I'm looking at the interview and I'm like, yeah, they're killing it with the answers. And then I'm like, but it's just like a minute and 30 seconds is not very cool. I need at least two, you know what I mean? So, but it's
yeah.
fun and if I do it and if I do it on a post, it's kind of a little bit it's not like I mean what I have seen is that it doesn't have the same reach as a reel, you know? But
Hmm.
but I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice. I mean, on YouTube it's 1 minute. That's even crazy. That's even
Yeah.
that's even harder, but yeah. And tell me, do you anticipate any shifts on how actors are trained or educated for their careers in the future?
Oh yeah, I see a lot of stuff going online. Uh, specifically, like there are still a lot of on-camera classes in person, which, they definitely should be in person or like a hybrid of in person and online because we have shifted to the self-tape and the self-tape is not going anywhere by any means. So those hybrid classes are really important, but it gives opportunity for actors to get education and training from both coasts. Like I for my voiceover training, I've been taking classes on the West Coast, on the East Coast, in the South, and everybody has such a different kind of like niche or a different style, and you could really hear it after a while. And it just makes you more well-rounded and aware, and I think it gives more opportunity for actors who want to work more on the West Coast and do that kind of work and be a part of those projects as opposed to just staying in their small town or their other large city in the middle of the US. So,
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, it helps expand it like a little bit more, so it's great.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen actors who are taking classes from a different part of the world, basically, which is great. And as we've been talking before, the fact that it also helps the opportunity to kind of discover new talent at the same time, and they can get the chance to work in like focusing to do something else, and not only yeah, focusing on doing some other stuff here and there. So
Yeah, definitely. And it gives them the chance to be repped on other coasts. So they get the auditions from, LA and New York and London, perhaps, if you're over there as well and can get there. But
yeah,
yeah.
totally. Yeah, you don't have to move there, which I do think it's great,
Hmm.
right? So
In terms of sustainability, though, I do see a trend of regions hiring more local for sustainability, though, and cost, because I mean, with voiceover, anyone can have a booth, but I understand if you want everyone to sound the same, you're probably going to fly them all in to work in that specific studio. But for something like on camera, for if you're shooting a television show, I think there's a lot more sustainability efforts to hire local and not fly people in because it cuts down on cost and it's more sustainable and you're hiring local talent. I do feel like that's a trend as well.
hmm. Hmm. Yeah, okay. I see that happening for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Cool.
Yeah, just a thought.
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just like, whoop.
Like one of those thoughts in which you're like, wait a minute. I like it. Yeah, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can continue seeing this trend because it does help more, yeah, like the local talent. I mean, I would appreciate, for example, if uh if yeah, if they shoot on a specific scene in Mexico and they hire local actors, who speak a local, our local Spanish, because sometimes it's funny that whenever on a film we will, for example, when they portrayed Mexico, and we will see actors who are not Mexican at all and they're not speaking Spanish at all. And for me and for some friends, it's kind of funny because we're like, come on, I mean, you could hire some local talent to kind of show them up here and they can play those scenes well because it's their language, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, just
Yeah.
some, yeah, just another random thought here.
Exactly, exactly. And that seems to be a trend too, is like you said, pretty much authenticity, like being authentic. And I feel like that's a trend everyone is going towards. How could we make this more authentic? Now, I
So,
don't think you need to hire um a dozen real nurses to say yes, doctor on an ER show or, a medical show. Like I don't think you need a real nurse to do that, but um yeah, yeah, just
but
some thoughts.
if you're shooting a film in, I don't know, in Germany, let's say, put some locals to it. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
I remember back when I was a kid that for me was interesting. That, for example, we will have like this films that they will be portraying this scene in, I don't know, Germany or Hungary, Russia, those type of countries, and we will see that they're speaking the most impressive English ever, and I'm like, come on, come on, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
put some locals to it, make it more real. I mean, I love like whenever a film or TV show they go that extra mile to make it kind of as relatable as possible, or they focus on those tiny details that perhaps someone might perhaps someone don't care, which is fine, but at the same time you're adding like a plus to it, and as we've been saying, it also helps the possibility to a local to raise their hand and be like, you know what, I can act too, and let me show you what I got. So.
Yeah, like White Lotus season two. I mean, those two ladies were, and uh, the front desk clerk. I mean, just all of them, all the Italian actors were fantastic, incredible. It just, yeah, and I never would have known they existed had they hired someone from the US to fly out to play an Italian local, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I do get it that sometimes perhaps they will hire A-list actors to sell the film, to
Oh
sell it.
yeah, for sure.
I get it. But put some extras to it, put more locals to it to kind of be on the scene to make it, make it cool, make it real, make it relatable. And also, I mean, I do think that if you get the chance to kind of portray on a specific language or culture properly, those who are watching it will like it even more and would appreciate that and will support any other projects they will create in the future. So it's a win-win here, just saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
You know, I've been thinking that we are giving like $1 million idea for free, just saying.
I know. We should stop talking. This whoever
Mm.
listens on this and acts on it, you're gonna make
Yeah, I got a big B.
big change.
And as I've been saying, I mean, if you want to give us just a little bit of it,
Just a little bit,
you know. I mean, I need to pay my rent, just saying. So
Exactly. Exactly. Mama needs a new booth. Just kidding. She's fine.
there you go. So or a new mic, just saying.
Yes, I could always use a new mic. I
Right?
love mics. Yes, whole nother podcast.
Right? When I transitioned from Instagram to Zoom, and then I was like, I need a mic. So I bought a mic and I remember like the first episode I did with a microphone on it, and I heard the audio, I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is beautiful. Like no more, like no more weird noises or no more catchy stuff or no more things like that. It was super
Yeah.
fluent. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. So
Oh, yeah.
makes things more easy. So
Oh, absolutely.
anyway. Now, as global politics and social issues become more intertwined with entertainment, do you see actors taking more activist roles in the future?
Yeah, and I think we see it already, right? Like especially with celebrities raising their hand for sustainability, for environmental causes. I definitely do see that. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, okay.
And
Yeah.
influencers too, actually, as well. Influencers have the exact word it is, a lot of influence on others as well, um, to make social change and have been really active in doing so.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I see that happening too. And also I see that at the same time, I mean, we have like on the flip side, we have actors who don't want to take a part of it. You know, they want to kind of stay away from that in order that perhaps they might say something on being afraid of being canceled. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's tough, right? Like, I mean, cancel culture is scary because it could ruin your career, it could ruin your life, but at the same time, like, you got to give people room to make mistakes and grow and be better people. You know, how far does it go? Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's kind of a delicate topic, the whole cancel culture. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll we'll pass that for another
Yeah,
podcast
we'll
to
leave it
take
like
on.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally. So, yeah, so giving the competition and influx of content, do you think it will become easier or harder for new actors to break into the industry?
Mm. I mean, it's it's already so tough to break into any industry, right? There's so much content out there, like you said, and there's so many different types of medium. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, um there is television, there's film, there's voiceover, there's podcasts. Like there is just so much content out there. But the only way I could see someone not succeeding is that they don't even start trying. Like
Mm,
just because there's a lot of content out there doesn't mean most of it's good, you know? But if you don't try and you don't do the work and be persistent and have resilience, you're not going to get anywhere close to that dream. You're just going to dream. You're not working towards anything. So yeah, I think it's difficult for anyone, and it's definitely a long game. It's not something that it's what goes viral nowadays, for instance, is so random. Like you really can't predict it, you know? And acting is certainly not a get rich quick scheme. It's
mm,
not, you're probably going to spend a lot more money than you will make money in the long run. If you're lucky, you'll break even. And if you're even luckier, you'll make a living off of it. You know, it depends on how much work you're putting in towards it, how much grace you give yourself, and uh, just keeping the mindset that this is a long game. This is not something that's gonna take off real quick. Everyone is so different and you just can't predict it. So I would say it's still gonna be hard. It depends on the individual,
mm,
really.
mm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, if you don't try it, it's already a no-no, you know? So simple.
Yeah. And if you're putting a half-ass, excuse me, a half effort in, if you're not committing fully to it, what good is that as well if you're not fully committing? And not saying that you have to just live and breathe that, because you could go bankrupt and homeless pretty quick. You know, it's expensive to work on this kind of stuff, and sure, you could do stuff for free, and that's all great too. But like I said, it's a long game, and yeah, you have to be persistent, you have to be resilient.
And at the same time, use the, I mean, since we are now having like, yeah, like it's more accessible to, what's the word here? I wouldn't say to become famous, no, to become, what's the word here? What I'm trying to say here is that with this, since everything is now more accessible, it's easier for you to stream something, right? It's
Mhm.
easier for you to put yourself on YouTube, Instagram, like social media. I mean, it's now more easy. So it's true. I mean, it helps you the opportunity to start something new. But at the same time, I mean, there's so much content out there which sometimes is not good. But as a YouTuber once told me that all you need is just one video. One
Mhm.
video to hit and everything will change for you. But in order for you to get to that video, you will need to put one after the other, 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 and keep doing it because that's the way it is. And when you reach when you reach that point which everything becomes like even better, stay there, which is going to be like your second hardest thing now for you to stay relevant and somehow. So, yeah.
Exactly. Like you're not going to find your voice in your craft if you don't practice your craft or even put yourself out there or try, like I started making a lot of Instagram reels this past year and I really started to find my voice and I became more confident, but my first reels weren't good. You got to put some bad stuff out there and your stuff at the start is going to be bad. Like you're not going to be good at it, but you are going to get good as you go along and your voice is going to become more confident and specific and yeah, you'll find yourself. But you got to start. No matter how much content is out there, we're content whores. I mean, everybody wants content. We're constantly consuming content. You adding your stuff like to that, that's great. Just make sure you're passionate about it and know that it's a long game. It
Hmm.
is a long game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you need to start and you need to, yeah, like those first things you will release are not gonna be that good. Like I've been watching my old stuff to kind of get some reels to it, and there, like
right? It's like, "Ugh, did I do that?"
yeah, like and like I kind of feel, yeah, I kind of feel bad. Yeah, I kind of feel bad because there were some interviews that they were great, but because I wasn't, you know what I mean? That because I wasn't kind of, I wouldn't say ready, but like something else was on my mind back then. When I watch them, I'm like, you know what, I could have asked this or go this way instead of that way. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's good because now you start to like learn like a little bit more about it and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go this way now and start to like create like my own thing. And it's true. In order for you to reach that, you need to try. You need to basically it's gonna be a huge try and error until you kind of find your sweet spot to be like, you know what, this is what I do, this is how I'm gonna do it, and this is how I go, basically. So
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I do hope also that we stop making making yeah, that we stop making like yeah, like basically how easy something can like yeah, like what I'm trying to say here is that if you're gonna make something trendy, make something interesting trendy and not some random stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many stuff here that becomes trendy out of nowhere, and then when you're watching it, it happens a lot of times. That when I'm watching something that is trendy, and I'm like, why? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
why this become trendy? Like, what is going on here? Like, what is wrong with people these days? So,
Exactly. And if you're gonna like tag on to that trend, like on TikTok or Instagram for a sound or like for a joke or whatever, make it towards you. Like, or like make it about something that you do. Don't just take their thing and redo it. It's like put your spin on it, put your voice on it. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting times, funny, crazy times we're living in right now. So,
Yeah.
but but the key here is if you want to create something, be sure that it's your as you were saying that it's your thing and you're not copying somebody else's stuff because it's not gonna be you, and then at some point you're gonna hate it because it's not you. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Exactly.
so yeah. But yeah, I would wish, and also that was what I've been telling you that I'm kind of working to kind of doing remakes from previous interviews to kind of rescue them and be like, you know what? Back then I was starting out. Now I have like a more, like a more solid thing here. So let's redo it again. Just for, but
And that's the beauty of it, right? Because like you can reuse your own content. Like you can
totally.
recreate it and keep evolving it. Um I did this Instagram Reels challenge and at the end he said the leader of it, he was like, you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel after this challenge. You have 30 days of content. You can redo it now, every single one for another 30 days and keep going and going. Now, I didn't have that drive in me. So I fell off my reels for a bit. But when I'm inspired, I do make another one. And sometimes I will look at my old ones and be like, oh, I can make that even funnier. Or like you said, I can make this better, or I could do this in this way, just like your podcast. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing here, the fact that you are kind of improving yourself, and then when you take a second and you see how much you have improved since as you know, as back when you started, you actually kind of see changes on it, and then you're like, you know what, this is actually working. This is great. And I do think that sometimes that is what we need to kind of take a second, realize all the work you have done, and be like, you know what, I'm actually a better version that I was as back when I was starting out. So thank God that I had these opportunities, and that I make those videos or whatever that perhaps right now I don't might like them somehow, but
Hmm.
it's because to that you were able to continue working on your craft, or or like in whatever you're doing, to start like a little bit going, yeah, to start to improve your game into, as I said, into a point in which you're like, you know what, I found my signature now, so this is where I'm going from now on. So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. And how do you think the role and importance of critiques and film critiques will change in the digital area, basically in which everyone can be a reviewer now?
So I feel like there's two parts to this. First of all, I believe that critics still play a vital role in the industry. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes, right? Who doesn't look at Rotten Tomatoes? Please tell me, raise your hand. Like, I always look at Rotten Tomatoes before I go and watch something, just because I want to know, like, what did the critics think, or how did it rate? Um but yeah, in terms of the other part of that question, I feel like with social media, we all have an opinion and we all love to voice that opinion into the void, but people are listening in that void, and that can heavily sway how a film does or does not do. For instance, the only reason why I watched or knew of Saltburn was because I heard about people talking on it on TikTok, and I was like, I have to know what this is. I have to watch this. Incredible movie, by the way. Absolutely effed up, but just incredible movie. Very well done. But I wouldn't have thought to watch it if I didn't see that public opinion, you know? So I don't feel like that's really going anywhere, but again, to each their own. Someone may
Hmm.
not be going to TikTok for their what movies to be watching, or some people not be going to Rotten Tomatoes. So,
No, yeah, I do, yeah, okay. I do think so. We got like two sides here. I mean, we have really interesting, very well based critiques, like, in which you're like, okay, this is interesting. They're actually touching very like important points, and there are some other type of critique that they just hate something because they hate it, and that's it. So at least to me, I just try to find something that kind of makes sense to me, and that is the beauty of it, that we have basically everything for everyone. But yeah, I don't think that is gonna change somehow. I mean, I do think that everyone is gonna basically things are gonna stay the same, and everyone is entitled to say whatever they want, sure. But just keep it respectful and keep it nice, basically. So
yes, I wish that was the case.
I wish that was the
I
case too.
wish everyone thought that way. Um, but yeah, on the positive end of that, there is more accessibility to what other people think. And sometimes people's opinions are really interesting, whether they're based in um a purely artistic analytic view, or just off of an emotional response of watching something, or they just didn't like it because they didn't like that person and they did that thing to them that one time and reminds them of that other person. And it's interesting. So as long as
Mm.
you keep yourself unbiased and take things with a grain of salt.
Totally. And also try to see different points of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
Uh,
important.
I think that's important too, to kind of you have your point of view, sure, fine, but also see it the other way, so then you can understand like a little bit to it and be like, oh, I get it now. I
And
mean, I'm
truly, right? Like, really try to understand the other side. I feel like a lot of people nowadays just kind of have their opinion and are very, very stuck on that. But even if you don't agree with it at first, understand why the other person thought that, you know? I don't feel like we even take that second anymore to step back.
yeah.
It's very from the gut and from the hip.
hmm And it's a shame because when you get this idea of let's agree to disagree, sometimes you can get different point of views that perhaps you don't like them, that's fine. But when you hear their opinion, somehow you can somehow understand like a little bit of about why they are doing or saying, like whatever it is. So I do think that is That is also like important, that get the chance to get into a conversation that you might not like it, but you might get the opportunity to discover something new on yourself, or to discover something new about a topic, or realize something that perhaps you didn't thought about it, like, on the first time to it. But yet again, that's complicated because, as you were saying, people sometimes people will be like super square, and they
Mm,
just don't want, and whatever they think, it's the honest truth. That's it. So I would say avoid those type of conversations and find people who would be able to kind of get this idea of let's agree to disagree. So
exactly.
yeah, I love it. And my last question, so we can
Yes.
all enjoy and relax after a couple of difficult, amazing questions here. So here it is. Perhaps this might be like the most difficult, but we'll see. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Ooh, this is such a good question because we talked about so many great things.
Take your time.
Let me ask you something, Dan, to inspire this. So, what is the most interesting thing that you think we've talked about tonight?
Oh, I mean, we talk about so many stuff, but I do think, okay, so check this one out. So I do think that the message between the lines of from for all of this conversation we had, perhaps it is to kind of do your thing and not be and don't worry about what might happen somehow. You know what I mean? Like the idea here to just go out there and do your thing. If you want to create something, go out there, and at the same time, people might not like it, and that's fine. But that shouldn't stop you for getting where you wanna. You know what I mean? Like, so something like between that we have to talk about, and also with AI. So, oof,
Yeah, I would say uh probably a good title for this would be Pursuing Your Human Experience, maybe.
I mean, I will drop this mic, so
I know, don't drop that mic.
I'm not dropping.
Good, good.
Uh, uh, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we talked about today, right? Just being human and having these conversations and understanding each other. And, of course, AI and sustainability and the environment are all, and the political stuff going on too is just going to all always be a part of that. But truly living your own human experience for yourself.
Hmm. I like
Yeah.
that title. Yeah, sounds interesting, sounds deep, sounds, like when people see it, gonna be like, what is this about?
Ooh, or if you want to shorten that title, if you want a short title, uh, living an authentic human experience.
Living
An
in an
authentic
authentic
human experience.
experience. I like that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one. Yeah, I think that one.
Yeah.
We have a title.
You choose.
I love it. I mean, at the end, what can I say? It's Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible the fact that you are keep pursuing what makes you happy, that you are making happen, and that is one of the things that I love. Like that is one of the things that I love about that we got the chance to have this conversation. And it's incredible that some of the people that I've interviewed 2 years ago, they're still doing it. I mean, there are some who are not doing it anymore, and that's a shame. But there are some of it like you who are keep pursuing it, who are evolving into more stuff here and there. So that's impressive, and that is why I keep saying that you're super badass. So
Oh, thank you. I'm either delusional or just very resilient and persistent. So I like to think persistent and resilient, though. But yeah, still going and still having a good time. I feel like acting just really complements my own human experience. It is something that helps me reflect, something that helps me grow, and not just my craft, but as a person. I
mm,
feel like I'm constantly evolving, which is great.
there you go. That's like like more badass.
Yeah.
I love it. So yeah, I want to thank you so much for making this happen. Keep shining out there, keep rocking. I also want to thank those who stayed here the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you agree or disagree, let me know. And again, Janice, thank you so much for making this happen. Also, I forgot on the description below, you're gonna find out, as I was saying in the beginning, all of Janice's social media. Let's follow her and let's make her viral. Let's continue with this trend. Hashtag Team Janice. And keep shining out there, keep rocking, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right. Thanks, Jan.